This week's Ever Wonder portion of the program is a great historic nugget. I love when Brad reaches back into the wheelhouse of my late high school, early college days. And in this week's portion, it's 1996. And we talk about two of the finest running backs in our state without question, most likely 1 and 2, and really two of the best running backs in the entire country. When you talk about two guys whose high school careers paralleled each other, their college careers were exactly the opposite, and their after playing days have actually flip-flopped with each other. This is, as he likes to call it, a cautionary tale of two recruits. In 1996, the top two running backs in the state of Georgia were Jasper Sanks of Carver, Columbus, and Jamal Lewis of Douglas High School. Now, Sanks, his junior year, his finest year, went for 2,000 yards and 23 scores. Meanwhile, Jamal was going, for Douglas High School, of course, was going for 1947 and 29 scores. And Jamal, by the way, in 1996 was a TCA back of the week. As the legend has it, and I believe Jim Donnan has actually rebuffed this story and denied it, but you'll remember that the Dogs had a loaded backfield in 1996. Of course, that's debatable, but Robert Edwards, Olandis Gary, Patrick Pass, and they had some other guys there. A little shifty Robert Arnaud, remember? Okay, so anyway, Brad, I love that Brad brings up this story because I heard this story back then as well. Most of us did who covered sports. The story was that Donnan wanted to make sure that he got one of those guys, Lewis or Sanks, and so he decided to put all of his attention on just one guy and had to choose one guy. Now, Brad doesn't mention it here, but there's also a rumor out there that one day in his office by himself that Donnan flipped a coin. It landed and decided that it was going to be Jasper Sinks. He came out of his office, went straight to his recruiting guys and said, okay, we're going after Sinks. The coins have spoken, or something to that effect. Well, they did, and obviously they landed Jasper Sinks. And as Brad likes to say, Jasper's career, well, it was unceremonious at best. His 4-year career, and this is exactly what Brad has to say, was marked by injuries, weight issues, failed drug tests, and disappointment. In his 4 years at Georgia, he accounted for just over 1,700 yards of total offense and only 13 touchdowns. And of course, in November of 2000, new head coach Mark Richt kicked him off the football team for a third strike in the university's drug policy. And Brad goes on to say, despite his size and speed, Jasper never received an invite to the National Football League Combine or an open tryout with any NFL teams. And so his playing days were over. The college career, of course, for Jamal Lewis, very much the opposite. He had a productive, even if not an All-American type college career. He, in 1997 as a freshman, 1,300 yards and was first team All-Freshman SEC. He played for a total of 3 years at UT, and a lot of people would forget, including yours truly, and I'm glad Brad brought it up, that Jamal still to this day is 4th all-time in all-purpose yards for the University of Tennessee. He, of course, went on to play 9 seasons in the National Football League, where he helped Baltimore win the title in 2000. And, of course, he eclipsed that mythical 2,000-yard mark in 2003 when he was the National Football League's MVP. So, two paralleled careers in high school couldn't have been more opposite in college. But then the coin flipped yet again into their private lives. Of course, Jamal had the far more successful playing career, as Brad likes to point out, but since then he's had his difficulties. He was convicted in 2004 for possession with the intent to distribute and served 4 months in prison. 3 years after his retirement in 2009, Jamal filed for bankruptcy, and he's also been part of the lawsuit with the National Football League involved with the CTE, the post-traumatic syndrome, and the concussions and all of that. Meanwhile, Jasper Sanks has seemingly rebounded from his lack of production in his playing days, his rise and fall on the football field. The AJC recently just had a great article on Jasper and reports that he lives out in Texas and is working in the oil industry and is happy and married. Of course, the reason Brad brings this up this week is because it is, again, a cautionary tale, as he likes to say. And I'm quoting now when he says, for a great deal of these highly touted and revered high school football players, as it relates to the football field only, they've never had to be accountable or go through any adversity. He goes on to say they can just show up and be better than everyone else, and no one knows how they will react when they run into better competition or run into nagging injuries and adversity. Some rise to the occasion and thrive, while others simply wither away. Coming up next, another look at the GHSA calendar.